Welcome to the big show.
Today we're here in Lawrence, Kansas at Prosoco. Is that how you say it, Prosoco?
We say it many different ways. Prosoco is the one.
Prosoco.
The normal pronunciation.
Okay, we're here today with David Boyer, the CEO. Today I had a tour of this wonderful facility from Matt, and we just want to get to know you guys just a little bit more. So, when did you guys start?
The company started in 1939. My grandfather started the company. He was a used car salesman, and the story goes, and he would tell some pretty good stories. The story goes that he once had an opportunity to trade a used car on his lots for what was professed to be a patented formulation developed by a university professor. He had a third-grade education, my grandfather, so he was very impressed by university professors, and he made the trade. Turned out the patents didn't pan out, but it was for a formulation for a buffered acid solution that was used to descale cooling systems in cars. This was the mid-30s. One of the biggest problems with cars in the mid-30s around here, where we've got lime in the water, is that the cooling systems block up, and that's why you see so many cars of that era parked out in the back pasture rusting away. This was something to descale that and keep the cars on the road. That solution found its way indirectly into another solution that was designed to remove. Part of Prosoco's history is interesting because it's kind of parallel changes in the construction industry. In the mid-30s and the post-war building boom of after World War II, it became increasingly common to use Portland cement in not just in concrete, but also in the mortar mixtures. And the buffered acid solution that Al Boyer, my grandfather, traded for, was found to have some pretty good effect in removing Portland cement concrete residues from various things. And he was invited to produce a formulation to remove hardened Portland cement dust from the cooling fins of side-mounted radiators in some of the early ready-mix concrete trucks. It used to be that concrete was always mixed on site because there weren't the network of ready-mix concrete facilities around. So the operator would charge the drum with gravel and sand and water, and they wouldn't charge until they got to the job site with Portland cement. And as they were putting the bags of Portland cement in the drum of the truck, the dust would settle over and foul the radiator, or the cooling system of the radiator on that turned the drum. They got an order one day. At that time, the material was sold in gallon glass jugs and wooden crates. And they got an order at one time for 4 drums of this material. It was called Calcut X. Not a very good name, but 4 drums, and they had never, at that time, the company was 2.5 people. They had never received that big an order, and they didn't have drums. So they went north of here to St. Joseph, Missouri, and bought 4 wooden-stayed whiskey barrels and lined them with tar and filled them up with a bigger batch of Calcut X than they had ever produced, put it in the back of a pickup truck, and followed it to Texas to find out where they were using this. At that time in construction, this is now the mid-40s, this is the post-World War II building boom. In the mid-40s, we changed design styles, and people who were building at that time with brick construction were favoring modern design styles in the mid-40s, late 40s, early 50s. And modern design styles in the brick world meant brick that wasn't brick red. It was a light-colored brick, lighter-colored brick, and they were more prone to staining. And they found out that if they used conventional muriatic acid to remove the hardened Portland cement, which was being added by that time to mortar mixes to accelerate the cure rate and allow them to cure or lay up more courses of brick. The buffered acid solution of Calcut X wasn't turning those brick colors. It wasn't changing the appearance of the brick that raw muriatic acid was. And that was the birth of a new industry. I mean, that was the birth of, that gave some people, my father and my uncle were at that time, had just become involved in the company, the idea that it might be a new market opportunity to develop a proprietary, purpose-built new construction cleaner. And that's how Prosoco got formally into the construction industry.
Wow, that's an awesome story. It goes along with your awesome building. You have, Matt said that you have robots, which is right down there, Rosie, that every 4 1-gallon, or what is it, 5-gallon jugs?
5 gallons.
It gets automatically put on a pallet and then shrink wrapped. So what I have noticed is the whole place is very automated, and lots of processes have gone and thought has gone into all of your processes. It's very impressive.
Thank you, thank you.
What do you like most about this industry?
Everything that we've done successfully, we've kind of pioneered new markets, and it's been a response to changes in the industry. So I've got a love for the building industry and kind of monitoring those changes, and the fact that we can respond with purpose-built products, be they cleaners or specialty stain removers or protective treatments, or in the case of concrete, densifiers and those types of things. That's what keeps it interesting. It keeps you focused on how the industry is evolving, and we're evolving our product line in response to that.
Can you describe your 4 different business units that you are developing here?
Kind of the core products that people know us best for the longest time are the cleaners and protective treatments, and that's both for new construction, for building maintenance, but also for building restoration types of products. Within that group, we have chemistries that have then transitioned into the concrete flooring group, those that are appropriate for use on concrete. The concrete flooring group also includes products to enhance the performance of concrete, to protect concrete from solutions or traffic that may damage it, to decorate the concrete. We've got the building envelope group, which was introduced in the early 2000s when the industry started focusing more and more on energy efficient performance of buildings, and added another layer to the wall assembly called the air barrier. We've done a very deep dive and are very deeply involved in products that enhance the performance of both newly built buildings, but also buildings that are being retrofitted to improve their performance in terms of energy consumption. And the most recently added group is the anchoring solutions group. Anchors for when you're retrofitting existing buildings, one of the first things you do is an engineering assessment to make sure it's viable for repair and for the retrofit itself. So anchors very often are used to tie the walls back together and restore the structural integrity of the walls. Anchors are also used in new construction, masonry construction, to tie the outer width of brick to the backup block and other assemblies. So the anchoring group has been a new addition, and it's rewarding to see how those 4 divisions are really kind of integrating one with the other and offering a more full complement of products that has us on projects for a longer period of time. So those are the 4 business units that we offer now.
Yeah. What's in your pipeline? What do you think for next year?
Well, certainly concrete is here to stay. I'm happy that I think the concrete flooring industry kind of went overboard a few years ago. We can all recall when concrete was promoted as the maintenance-free flooring material, but it's not. Concrete has its limitations, and I think the industry has come to recognize what those limitations are and have more realistic expectations of it. So that's very encouraging, and I think we're doing smarter things with concrete flooring than we had been doing as recently as 5 or 10 years ago. That's exciting to see that. I do think we're in a post-COVID world. It's a new BC. BC is everything before COVID, and now we've got a post-COVID world. I do think a lot of the industry is going to be shifting attention to retrofitting existing buildings that are, in many cases, in many cities across the country, are abandoned because the business model is no longer viable in post-COVID world. And that's going to uncover some existing concrete, so concrete toppings and concrete repair materials are going to become important. And then there's opportunities in how to retrofit those buildings to make them more efficient. So we're looking very intently at that market, because the new construction market outside of housing and data centers, which is a big concrete opportunity, and distribution centers, which is a big concrete opportunity. Other types of commercial construction, I think, are going to be on the decline for the foreseeable future. But I think the replacement is going to be retrofit, so we're devoting a lot of efforts into those types of new emerging markets.
What sets you apart from your competition?
I think we're more innovative than many of our competition. I think we take what I would call a more ethical approach to it. What's made Prosoco different from the outset, because we've worked on some of the most significant buildings, certainly in North America and around the world, is that we have an acute understanding of surface chemistry and how important that is to the formulations you develop to clean or to remove stains from or to improve the performance of. And so we say downstairs in the laboratory that we kind of take the Hippocratic Oath when it comes to developing a new product. We rule out anything that can damage the different chemistries of different substrates. We take that off the table. And increasingly, our pantry of building blocks for products are much more environmentally friendly than they used to be. We have adopted a discipline that's kind of imposed by some of the new emerging trends in energy efficient design of complying with what's referred to here as a red list, what's referred to in Europe as REACH, and selecting components, the building blocks of our formulations that are not only going to perform, they're going to supplant many older chemistries, but they're also going to minimize any potential for hazards posed to building occupants or to the users of the products. So I think that kind of sets us apart. We've got a lot of people that pay lip service to it, but I genuinely don't think anybody is as earnest about that effort as we are, and that makes it more interesting. And I think it instills a sense of pride in the people working on them. So
I went down to your laboratory, and you have 9 chemists. That's impressive. All right, so your story is similar to ours. I'm a third generation, and you told me earlier that you have your son and your nephew work here now. So you're 4 generations?
Well, 4 generations, yeah. Now, we're proudly family-owned, and it's really exciting to see. My son's name is Jake. My nephew's name is Alex, and Jacob works as a division manager. He's over the legacy products, the cleaners and protective treatments, and he's learning those. But he's breathed new life into that oldest of our lines. And Alex is working both within our brand strategies, but also with we've got a group of people that are kind of focused on monitoring and participating in sort of the emerging trends in construction chemicals at a variety of levels. And Alex is kind of being emerged into that markets and helps us understand, interpret where people want to go, and fashion our products and our messaging to their wants and needs. So it's exciting to see them both work together here. So.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Well, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for the interview. Thank you for the tour, Matt. And
Thank you for coming. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my hands are sweaty.
Yeah, maybe one.